Hey guys, Harry Thomas here, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to part 2 of my reflection on summer 2019 movies, and this is the list where I'm gonna make some enemies. Oh man, some of my most disappointing movies this summer in the most underwhelming summer for movies I have ever lived through. Are some of would be some of the favourites of the majority, but all film is subjective. I'm not saying these movies on my most disappointing list are bad, because I saved them for the worst list. But these movies are at best decent. But to me, I wanted more from them. So without further ado, if you want to know my top 5 most disappointing movies of summer 2019, then just keep watching. At number 5, Men in Black International. While not the worst Men in Black movie, that still goes to Men in Black 2, but this is certainly the second worst installment of the Men in Black franchise. While Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth that's right, Valkyrie and Thor from Thor Ragnarok are now the stars of Men in Black. That's amazing. They are the saving grace of this movie, and their chemistry shines. But if this movie wanted to get moviegoers interested, But if this movie wanted us to get interested in this franchise again, it needed to take it in an original direction. Why not have this movie take place on an alien planet? Why not make us sympathise with the aliens more for a change? But no, this movie scraps those awesome concepts in favour of retreading the old movies, and that is boring writing. I would have rathered a Woman in Black movie than this. At number 4, John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. Oh man, I'm gonna be as wanted as John Wick himself for this decision, but sorry, John Wick fandom, but the John Wick franchise has never been my cup of tea, and John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum, while it may be marginally the best installment of the trilogy, isn't to say it's a good movie for me. This takes the cake for me as the most overrated and overly praised movie of 2019. At least Halle Berry and her dogs were the most badass characters in this movie, and by far the most likeable. A shame she's totally wasted, and at least the villains were at least a threat this time, but other than that, I couldn't even see a story to this movie. It's an extended and sluggish chase scene. Keanu Reeves' John Wick isn't even a character to me. He's the 2019 Mary Sue. I'm not kidding. He faces no challenge in the action scenes. Not one action scene stood out as anything special to me because they were all identical, and the ending, a spoiler alert, is just a forced setup for a John Wick 4, which I have no interest in seeing. So yeah, the John Wick franchise, it may decay with the fourth movie. I don't see what more story there is to tell. At number 3, Toy Story 4, sorry. Don't get me wrong, Toy Story 4 is still a better movie than I anticipated, and Pixar did their best to justify a Toy Story 4's existence, but this movie was severely lacking in the awesome qualities of the original trilogy. This is by far the weakest of the Toy Story quad trilogy. While this is the funniest Toy Story movie, and Forky is endearing, and loved what they did with Bo Peep in this movie. Loved that they improved her character by making her far more badass than she was in the first two, and McDibbles, she was adorable. The police officer toy that looked similar to a Charlie Brown character, and the carnival and the antique store, they were imaginative locations for a Toy Story movie to take place, and Gabby Gabby is easily my favourite character in the entire movie. She's the most sympathetic Toy Story character I've ever seen. Well, second only to Jessie technically, but Gabby Gabby isn't the villain, as some people would say. I mean, you feel extremely bad for her because she only wants to be loved by her kids. The saddest moment is when Harmony, the antique store's owner's granddaughter, rejects her, but at least she found another little girl in need. But you would think Pixar would try a little harder and make Toy Story 4 live up to the masterpiece that was the original trilogy, and Toy Story 4 never reaches that. It needed the mature tone of the other three. This movie was a little it went overboard with its light-hearted comedic tone, and because there's no villain, I didn't see any stakes to this movie, and the other toys are like Buzz, Jessie, and Slinky. They do literally nothing in the movie except for stay in Bonnie's RV, and Duke Kaboom was all right, but his backstory needed more of an emotional punch. And Bunny and Ducky only existed in this movie to be the comic relief. So when they sing, "We're gonna get a kid," but we never do see them get a kid, so their storyline isn't resolved. So why did we even need them in this movie? So yeah, Toy Story is done, Pixar. Please work on more original movies and less sequels for the 2020s. I don't know how critics think Toy Story 4 is the best animated movie of 2019. That's where I strongly beg to differ. How to Train Your Dragon 3: The Hidden World is still the best movie of 2019, and that deserves the Best Animated Feature Oscar for 2019 instead of Toy Story 4. At number 2, Spider-Man Far From Home. Oh boy, you could title this the list of unpopular opinions for 2019, but I'm sorry, this was my least favourite of the 3 MCU movies in 2019. While Far From Home still qualifies more as a Spider-Man movie than both Amazing Spider-Man movies combined, it's still one of my least favourite Spider-Man movies overall. I mean, especially as in 2018 we had one of the best Spider-Man movies ever with Into the Spider-Verse, and this felt like a underwhelming follow-up to that, but at least Far From Home did original things with the character of Spider-Man, like location-wise, having this movie take place in Europe instead of New York is a fresh change of scene, and it was compelling seeing Peter, come of age and becoming the hero that Tony Stark, his mentor, shaped him to be. And Zendaya is so lovable as Mary Jane, as she redeemed herself with this role after Smallface, and Jake Gyllenhaal totally is the scene stealer as Mysterio. It's about time we had Jake Gyllenhaal in the MCU, but I don't think Nick Fury's inclusion was necessary, as he didn't do anything to impact Spider-Man's story, and the plot did nothing for me. All it was Spider-Man and Mysterio saving some European cities from these water monsters, and the twist that Mysterio was the villain behind this plot this entire time. Predictable is an understatement. The character of Happy Hogan, played by Jon Favreau, to say I don't like this character doesn't cover it. I freaking hated the character of Happy Hogan. This is the director of the director who unnecessarily remade The Lion King this summer, and his comedy was the worst that I have ever seen. It does suck that Spider-Man is no longer in the MCU. I still can't wait to see Tom Holland play the character, but this was not the greatest final movie in the MCU to give Tom Holland Spider-Man. And my number one most disappointing movie of summer 2019 would be Tolkien. This has to be the weakest Middle-earth movie I have ever seen, period. Where was Peter Jackson? Peter Jackson, the director of the original 6 Middle-earth movies, the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogy, should have directed Tolkien. Then it could have been a work of art. But Tolkien's stories that take place in Middle-earth turned out to be far more engaging and epic than his personal life. A dramatization about Tolkien. I was rooting for this movie to succeed all the way. Had Tolkien lived up to expectation, this would have made my top 10 favourite movies of 2019, and it could have been a Best Picture contender. Instead of focusing on what made Tolkien one of the greatest authors to ever live, it just focused on the dull stuff, the irrelevant stuff that we didn't need to see. I mean, at least the love story between Tolkien and Edith is the heart of the movie. But the World War One scenes fell short. They weren't as powerful as they could have been, and nothing major occurs in this movie. It felt like it was playing the life of Tolkien as safe. It wasn't delving as deep into Tolkien's personal life as it should have, and this movie needed some scenes of Tolkien imagining, Middle-earth and imagining the characters, and that would have been awesome. I'd still love to see a J.K. Rowling movie or C.S. Lewis movie. They'd better be more compelling than Tolkien. So yeah, you can see why I am calling Tolkien the most disappointing movie of summer 2019. So that was my top 5 most disappointing movies of summer 2019. I guarantee you all are only going to agree with 2 movies on this list, but the other 3 picks you're going to strongly disagree with. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. And what are your top 5 most disappointing movies of summer 2019? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. And I'll see you next time when I share with you my top 5 worst movies of summer 2019. That list is going to be fun. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.